This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to a victorious edition of the Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST, your spot for instant Rays reaction after every single game. My name is Jonathan Shields. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. I will be with you for every single one of those games. And this is what we're going to be talking about. Is the offense fully back to their best form they can be? How good can this lineup be? And we're going to preview tomorrow as the Rays go for the series victory. But we're going to start in this one, what every Rays fan should be talking about, how good Drew Rasmussen was.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Rasmussen had his best start of the season. He went 6 innings for the first time this year, and he was just so efficient. So yesterday, the problem with the Rays was the walk. Today, Drew Rasmussen just did not give up a single walk all game. In fact, the Marlins didn't get a walk today. So when we look at the Rays gave up 7 walks yesterday and a hit by pitch, and today giving up none of that, that is just a huge improvement. This team was locked in from the very first inning, as they probably should have scored in the first inning. But Drew Rasmussen was also our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And I don't remember a time seeing Drew Rasmussen this good. And I know he was actually, that's not true. The start before he got hurt and had to miss the rest of last season, he was really good. But this was probably the best he's been this year, and that includes how good he was his first 4 games of the season. And he was just so in the zone. He had command of everything. I thought his cutter was really, really good. His fastball elevated. He got people to chase, and then he worked the curveball, I thought, really well. It was a pitch I think that maybe he should use a little bit more. His curveball was really working today. But you look up in the 4th inning, he has 38 pitches. In the 5th inning, he has 55 pitches. In the 6th inning, he finishes with 81 pitches. Just the definition of efficiency. And if he was another pitcher, they probably would have let him go out there for the 7th inning. But it's just so good to see, because this Rays rotation has struggled a little bit. You see the talent there, but they need to keep stacking games. And this was just such a complete victory for the Rays, because we talked about it yesterday. When the bats go, the pitching wavers a little bit. This was a game where the offense, except for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings, put consistent pressure on the Marlins pitching, and where the Rays pitching was also very good. So before we go any further, make sure that you guys leave a like and comment. If you join the live, we will get to them at the end of the live, like we always do. If you guys are watching the replay, also leave a like and subscribe as well, as we're going to go to the offensive side of the diamond, as Yandy Diaz really cracked things open with that 2 RBI base hit with the bases loaded. And that whole inning, that 5th inning in general, was just so key to the game. That's why it's our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, and it's not the Simpson RBI single, which was huge. And he just continues to put together such good at-bats, even though he's a little shaky in the outfield sometimes. But what Yandy did, it kind of felt like the first inning. Things were getting away from them. The Rays should be up more, but they really need to attack this inning, this situation right here. And Yandy did that. He went the other way with it. And before that, I feel like Yandy, since he missed those 3 days, besides the one hit where he hit like 116 off the bat that hit the pitcher, he was shaky a little bit, right? He didn't seem like he had everything timed up. And, but that one was, and he went the other way with it, and it scored 2 runs. So I thought that was a turning point, because then you finally okay, the Rays finally came through in one of these key moments. The Rays, finally have some momentum to build. And with the way that Rasmussen was, pitching, you could just tell you probably only needed one or 2 runs to go ahead. And then, ever since Josh Lowe came back in this lineup, and he hit leadoff, and immediately, he's about probably 5 feet away from a home run, or probably 3 feet away from a home run. And he has a hit in every single game back. He's hitting, he's not going to hit, I think he's at like 380, 370. He's probably not going to hit that all year, but he just lengthens this lineup out even more. And, I thought Caballero is another guy that's just continually had such good at-bats for this team. And I hope he gets more and more at-bats. And then you see a guy like Junior who didn't play today, but you see the potentials there. The Rays have a legit, 6, 7 guys in their lineup right now that you trust in any situation. So when you go to how good can this lineup be? You go to, okay, when Hyesung Kim comes back, they're going to have probably 7 or 8 guys every single night that you trust in a big spot. And you couldn't say that when the lineup was scared. I mean, once you got past sometimes the fourth guy in the lineup, you things got kind of shaky. But you look at how good can this lineup be? This lineup can be elite when everyone is healthy and not everyone's rolling, but when you got guys that have proven MLB consistency up there, and that's a Hyun Kim, that's even a Richie Palacios when he gets back. That's a Josh Lowe continuing to get reps. That's Junior continuing to get reps. And then what you're going to get with Yandy, Aranda, and Brandon Lau. And I thought another key point is when Aranda got that RBI single, because he was in like an 0 for 12 stretch right there. So, he's still batting almost 320, which is just kind of crazy to see how far he's come, because he was unplayable for a little bit of last year. And then you kind of saw it at the end of last season, right? Him start to come on, and he's just taken that and ran with it this year. So again, if you guys are in the live, make sure you guys leave a comment. We will get to them at the end of the video like we always do. But yeah, I mean, look, this lineup has a chance to be really scary, guys. I'm telling you, the Rays can do everything that we've talked about with a win tomorrow. Go 4-2 on this road trip. Don't just tread water, but start to kind of poke your head above the water. And when those guys come back, they join a train that's just moving. And with the AL East being bad, look, the Orioles just fired their manager. And I think that that's not the problem. I think Mike Elias is probably the worst GM in baseball, at least the worst GM over the last 2 years in baseball. The Orioles or the Marlins' two best players, Stowers and whoever hit third, Narby, his name's escaping me, came from the Orioles for a guy that got DFA'd by the Orioles. But that's besides the point. But yeah, I mean, look, this lineup is scary. And then you got guys that aren't even like playing right now, like Christopher Morel, if he can tap into any kind of consistency. Danny Jansen, who, again, I just feel really comfortable he's going to give you a good at-bat in a good spot. But we're going to talk about what the Rays need to do to go for the series win right after this. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Price on the app usually actually drop closer you get to the first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. I said it before, the best part about the Game Time app is you can see where you're going to sit before you even buy the ticket because of the feature on the app where it shows you a picture and a view of the seat. Take the guesswork out of buying with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. My favorite is the player props. And again, there's a big Game 7 tomorrow between the Thunder and the Nuggets. So again, if you think Shea is going to go for 30, you can bet that. If you think Jokic is going to have a triple-double, you can bet that. New to FanDuel is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. So again, if you guys are joining live, make sure that you leave a comment. We will get to them at the end of the video. But now let's preview the game tomorrow and what the Rays need to do to get a series and a road trip victory. I think tomorrow is one of the biggest games of the season. Getting back home 2 games under and having a winning road trip would just be huge, huge for this team. As we preview the game tomorrow, we get Shane Bosch versus Cal Quantrill. And Cal Quantrill has been one of the worst pitchers and worst starters in baseball so far this year. He's 2-4 with a 7 ERA, just 23 strikeouts and 36 innings to just 13 walks. So Cal Quantrill was with Cleveland for a while, and he's actually pretty good with them. He was with Colorado last year, his first year with Miami. His ERA was at 4.98 last year. It's up to 7 so far this year. And his last 5 games, he's given up 7 runs, 4 runs, 4 runs, 1 run against the Dodgers, and 3 runs his last time out versus the Cubs. So again, Shane Baz is on the mound for the Rays. He was better his last time out, but he's still been a little shaky recently. But again, this is a game tomorrow that the Rays should and need to win. Again, there's no must-win games in mid-May, but man, it would just feel so good to go back to Steinbrenner with a winning road trip. You have that 9-game or 10-day 9-game homestand, and just use that to build some momentum. Like I said, this offense is taking just fantastic strides. And I mean, now they've scored 28 runs over the last 5 games. So they're averaging right around, that 6-run mark per game. It's like that technically it'd be like 5.8. That's really good. And if the Rays could sustain even something a little bit over 5, just would just be huge. So some other points. The defense was so good in this one. Even the balls Meisner tracked down in center outside of that one Simpson play in the 4th. But Cabby and Walls on the left side of the infield, obviously they're not going to play that there often because Junior's going to play almost every day. But man, they are fun. I think Cabby the last 7 games has been really good for the Rays. I mean, he's just such a great pickup. And how many steals did the Rays have? The reason why the Rays were able to put so much pressure in the 5th is because the Rays were running all over the Marlins, and that's the scout. The scout's out on the Marlins. You can just run all over them. And then, like I said, Rasmussen was just looking fantastic. We already talked about how good Cabby was, and I like that Uceta got in a non-leverage spot, and he was shaky. Don't get me wrong, he was shaky. He almost gave up another home run to a lefty. But man, it was good to see him get some weak contact and some swing and miss. I thought this is what makes BA so good on the broadcast. He gave a pretty in-depth breakdown of how Danny Jansen was helping Uceta kind of move the ball around and set up and where to put the ball. So again, really good for Uceta. And then obviously Garrett Clevenger might end up being the unsung hero on this Rays team as they move forward throughout the year. So now we're gonna get through get to the comments as we go to Jack's Takes. He says, revenge is sweet. Now let's take them to church on Sunday. But that means put on your Sunday best, straighten up, and act right. Yeah, let's hope the Rays get to church and then take them to church. Yeah, that would be really good. So as we go to Gary, he says, very well played game by the Rays. Excellent defense. Superb start by Rasmussen with the bullpen finishing up a nice situational hitting by Yandy, Chandler, and Jonathan Aranda. I agree. And this offense probably should have scored more in this one, honestly. So it was tough to only get 4 runs. But again, that's really all they need. As we go to Cameron Van Pelt, says big one considering Alcantara on the mound for the Marlins. Sets up a nice rubber match tomorrow and a 4-2 road trip. Can't ask for more than that. You are 100% right. That is all you can ask for. And Alcantara probably had his best stretch of the whole season through those 3 innings, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th inning. I mean, he was cruising. His stuff is still there. It's just his situational pitching hasn't been good, just like the Rays situational hitting has been really good. I think his batters are hitting like 440. I think was a number off him with runners in scoring position, which is just that is not a good number, especially for a guy that won a Cy Young a few years ago. As we go to Mike, he said, just wonder what happened with Meade and Morrell. They weren't producing. So if you're not producing, you're not going to play in this lineup. I like that Kevin Cash kind of made that distinction because, Morrell was too inconsistent. Meade, can't hit versus righties, and he struggled against lefties. So Cash said, I'm going to put the guys out there that I think are going to, help put this offense on track. And yeah, I don't think it's an injury. I don't think it's anything. I think it's all performance related. And I actually think that Morrell is going to get the start tomorrow. I think they're going to play. I don't know if Simpson will play tomorrow, but I originally thought before the game that they'd give Meisner a day off, put Simpson in center and Morrell in left. But now I think they might give Simpson a day off tomorrow because of what happened with him. So yeah, I mean, I just think, that's what it's a manager decision because of how inconsistent that they've been so far this year. And yeah, little one Alexander says, hope Chandler's okay, can play tomorrow. Yeah, I don't think it's anything severe. That's why I'm not really talking about it any more in depth. But look, it looked rough in the slow motion. He was diving again. I don't know why they sent him. Situationally, Yandy's your best hitter. You're going to get him on with a guy on third with less than 2 outs. Again, you kind of want that. But yeah, it's I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be a little bloody in the nose area, but yeah. So again, a lot of guys saying win tomorrow. That's what we need. Yeah, I mean, look, a winning road trip would just be huge here. As James Keck says, he's plus 34 through 11 holes. Yeah, got to figure that out, kid. Hit the ball in the fairway. As the PGA Championship's going on, that's a lot of fun too. As we got, I love Legos. He says, I'm confident Shane Boz will get back on his feet. I am too. Pitchers go through that. It's like this throughout a season, right? And yeah, it's just that's what that's what I think Shane is down here and starting to tick up here to get back to where he was earlier in the season. Yeah, and the play with Chandler at home plate was scary. As we get Marco saying Rays up in here, he said it's Cat. I know it's a Rays postcast with thoughts on the high fired. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the episode. I think it's a joke. This was a guy that was there since 2019 and was with them through the really dark points. And since their GM and their ownership didn't want to spend money on pitching, and they signed guys, you had to be a minimum of like 35 years old to get signed by the Orioles if you're a starting pitcher. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to end up well. And this lineup, Adley Rutschman's had a really tough end of last season, then started this season. And, I think their window to win was like these 3 years. And the last 2 years and then this year, maybe even next year. And man, like they somehow closed their contention window to only winning. I don't even think they won a playoff game. If not, they only won like one playoff game during that time. So, I mean, just horrific roster management by their front office. But that's all we'll talk about the Orioles. We get a Miami boy in here. Thanks for joining. You might as well subscribe while you're here. So again, keep the comments rolling. Again, the AL East is still obtainable. After all the ups and downs, I feel like the roller coaster ride that the Rays have been through. They're still, the Yankees lost it at what? They're 5 back. Let me go double check. I believe they're only 5 back now in the division, which is crazy considering how good that the Rays, the AL East has been. Yeah, they're only 5 back in the division, and they're only a game back for second. It is just crazy. And, it's like the AL East and the AL Central just kind of flipped this year. So yeah, I mean, just I try to think optimistic, and then yesterday I said it was the most optimistic that I've ever been after a Rays loss because I thought this game was such an anomaly. And man, I'm telling you, Kevin Cash puts the Rays locked on in the clubhouse after every game because all of a sudden the Rays don't have any walks. Their defense was substantially better. And then, the hitting finally came around as we go back to it's. Caddy says, do you think Diaz or Lau will get dealt at the deadline if the Rays are around 500? That's a really good question. I think Brandon Lau is more likely to go than Yandy Diaz because they just kind of extended Yandy's team options out. But look, the Rays are a very smart franchise. If they feel like they get good value for a specific player, then yeah, I think anyone on this roster, not anyone, but a lot of people on this roster could get dealt. But if the Rays are around 500 at the trade deadline, what's the AL East looking like? Are they only 4 games back? Because at that point, I think that you ride it out. And I think the time to trade a Brandon Lau or Yandy was the year before. So yeah, it's going to be good to see. So yeah, you guys, any last comments? Get them in now before we wrap it up. As I love Lego says, I hope the Rays dethrone the Yankees for the last spot. Yeah, I mean that would be that would be awesome if but long way away from there. I wonder what would happen if somehow the Rays did host a playoff game. I don't know how I doubt MLB would want that at minor league stadium. So. No, I mean, there's nothing they could do at that point. Just interesting to look into. Hopefully, the Rays hosting some October baseball games. So I appreciate all you guys joining. I appreciate anyone from Miami in here, like SR94 Kid was in here. He said some nice words, so thank you to him. As we go to Cameron Van Pelt for the last comment of the day, he says, "What do we do with the rotation when McClanahan back? Boyle's too good for AAA, but it's like, who do you put down? Littell has had his best stuff over the last 4 outings. You're not going to send down Taj. You're not going to send down, Boz. You're not going to send down Pepio. So who goes for Boyle? So I think what happens with McClanahan is they're going to move probably Littell to the bullpen and kind of back him up maybe with Rasmussen. That was the plan to start the year. Rasmussen to go 5, Littell to go 3, and then kind of go on from there. So I don't know, but I'll tell you what, it's a good problem to have. That just means that the Rays have a lot of talent and a lot of depth in this rotation. So again, Rays win, big win from the Rays. They have a chance to win the series and have a winning road trip tomorrow. Everything we talked about last week is in play. The Rays go for a 3rd straight series victory tomorrow afternoon. We hope to see you after the game tomorrow, hopefully after another Rays win. I appreciate all you guys for joining. If you guys are joining live, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're watching the replay, also make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Go ahead and join the live tomorrow. An afternoon game tomorrow, earlier postcast. So hope to have a lot of people in here. So again, I appreciate all you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon.